In today's episode, we will be answering the internet's top 7 questions about Google Ads. We've been running Google Ads here at TheOnlineCo for clients for about 12 years now, and we know all the ins and outs. We're going to demystify all the things you're wondering about Google Ads, including when not to use it. So you can get started on the journey to growing your business. Welcome to Getting to the Heart of Business, brought to you by TheOnlineCo, where we believe the best way to grow a small and medium business is to put people first. I'm James Parnwell, and my co-host is Jess Caluso. G'day, Jess.
Hey, James.
So we are currently sitting here in between season 1 and season 2.
We are, yes.
We've had a little break.
Yes.
Have you done anything interesting in your break?
Look, I don't know if it's overly interesting, but I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a hell of a lot of reading, actually. I set myself a goal at the start of the year that I wanted to read a lot more than what I normally do. I absolutely love reading, but I'm the sort of person who generally only reads when I'm on holidays.
Okay.
And so I set myself a goal of a minimum of 1 book per month this year, and I'm on track.
Oh, nice. So this is being recorded in Sydney in the middle of lockdown. So
yes.
When I say, have you been up to anything interesting? It's literally things like reading or, I don't know, cooking food. Or
I've been doing a lot of cooking as well.
We're a little limited.
Yes. Yeah. What have you been doing in our time off?
Well, I've been working pretty hard.
Yeah.
I've been cooking lots of food. We've been having fires. I actually camped in the backyard with my kids last night, got in a tent.
Was it successful, or was it like a regular camping disaster?
Well, I didn't sleep very well at all.
So it was a regular camping disaster?
Yeah. For a whole host of reasons that I probably won't go into today. But one of the questions we had from listeners was actually, could you go a bit deeper into your marketing analysis? Because we would talk marketing at the end of the episodes in season 1. And some people were saying, hey, we'd really like to hear some more about that.
There was some common feedback, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we thought we'd do that. Now, the methodology we're using here is to actually go to Google, do keyword research, and find out what the top questions are. So we did a whole stack of research, and we've come up with 7 questions that people are asking.
It's unsurprising that's the way we've done it.
Yes, well, that's kind of a logical thing.
Logical marketing way to do it.
So that means there's a very good chance we're going to answer your precise questions. So we have a very special guest today, Jess.
We do. I'd like to introduce all of our listeners to Heidi Jones. So she is the TheOnlineCo SEM team manager. Hello, Heidi.
Hi, Jess. Hi, James.
How you going?
Welcome. Good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you on board. I know you have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and every time I have questions, or we have clients who have questions about Google Ads, and you have to answer, you just always answer it. You just know the answer. You've been there, you've done it, you've seen it or experienced it. And I'm in awe of your skills and knowledge of Google Ads, actually. Can you tell us how long you've been working in Google Ads, or how much experience you've got in Google Ads?
I started in Google Ads just over 10 years ago. So
wow.
10 years experience, and learnt a lot in that time, and lots of changes in that time as well. So it's very fun and interesting.
I can imagine there's been a lot that's happened in that time. So you would have managed millions and millions of dollars worth of ads in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it would be interesting to add it all up, actually.
Yeah, I suppose that'd take a while, but maybe a task for another day. But what is it that you like the most about Google Ads and working in Google Ads?
I think for me, it's about seeing businesses, can't even speak properly today, succeed. I love being able to help businesses and saying, seeing that we're getting them leads, getting them those sales that they're really craving, and knowing that we're able to help them is just, that's great. I love it.
That's really cool. And so you mentioned, 10 years you've been working in Google Ads.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, we know working in digital marketing that digital marketing technologies and methods changes sort of every 5 seconds. What sort of changes have you seen in the last 10 years in Google Ads?
There's been a lot of machine learning, I guess, with Google Ads. So when we first started out, a lot of it was manual. You had to do everything yourself. But over the years, Google has changed. They've learned, and they're now able to do a lot of things. It's automated. So it makes us able to, I guess, work in different ways, and we can spend time focusing on different areas. So we get better optimization and better performance much faster, which is good. And just in terms of like the ads themselves, when we first started, they were very minimal. You could only put like a few little bits in, but they've expanded those, and that continues to change. They're continually growing and adding new additions. We've recently started being able to add images onto the text ads. So that's very new. But yeah, obviously a really, really good thing to have on your ads.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a few years ago when they removed a bunch of the ad options. I think it was on the right-hand side, they had 4 ad options, and they removed that, and it's all different now. I thought, just work with a specialist. This is too hard for me to keep up to date with.
Yep. They often change things without you realizing as well.
Oh yeah, classic.
Always fun.
Big tech companies. So, well, I suppose we better jump into the most top Googled questions about Google Ads. And I think the best one to start with is one that I actually even hear a lot myself when people are just, we're sort of chit-chatting about digital marketing in general. And that is Google Ads the same as AdWords?
Yes. Basically, the Google decided to change their name a few years ago, so it went from Google AdWords to Google Ads, but that's
just exactly to confuse people.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, that was nice and easy.
Nice, easy one to start with.
Yeah, name changes are a bit of a thing for Google. They like changing names, and then you've got to keep up, and it can be a little confusing, but we're good. It's the same thing.
Well, I'm glad we asked that one and got it out of the way. So there you go, everybody. It is one in the same. So the second most Googled question around Google Ads is, does Google Ads really work? And that sort of ties in with another question, which was, is Google Ads worth it? What are your thoughts, Heidi?
Yes, in most cases, it is definitely worth it and it definitely works, but it does depend on your industry. Obviously, there's a few things that come into an industry, budget and things like that, but depending on what your service is or what you're selling, you've got keywords and everything like that. So there are certain areas or certain business industries that there's just no search volume for particular terms. So starting a Google Ads campaign may just never get the volume of users to your website to get any results from that.
Have you got any examples of an industry that you think wouldn't get any searches?
Wouldn't get any. I have had a question from a lady who wrote a children's book about learning the time. And so it was a very, very specific.
Yep. So really niche sort of businesses.
Yeah. So finding a term that someone would use for that kind of thing and knowing that it's going to get enough search volume, it just wasn't going to work. So we did the keyword research, and there was nothing there. But things like some examples on the other way, where they do really work, we've have, for example, a blinds company. They've been running since we started. So that was one of our first ones. They've been running for 10 years, perhaps a little bit more than that. And that's really, really successful. And we see that just improve over and over, like over the years with further optimizations and everything. That's just gone from strength to strength, which has been really good. Another one is they do children's therapies, so early intervention. It's another one that, again, there's a lot of keywords out there for that, and there's a lot of people there, and perhaps not as much competition, which is another factor that can come into it. When you've got a lot of competition, it drives the cost up and things like that. So that's where budget comes in. Is it worth it? Depends on your budget, depends on your competition.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that come into play there.
So one of the things I've noticed over the years is that Google Ads, when it works, is the best digital marketing tactic out there. But when it doesn't work, it's the worst digital marketing tactic out there. So when the business owner is thinking, should I do this or not? I like to think of it using the traffic lights analogy. When you do that keyword research initially before you start, you might get a green light, and that's generally fairly clear. But you might get a red light as well, saying, no, don't do this. There's also the yellow light or the orange light in the middle, which is, all right, there is some traffic out there. There's a decent amount of competition. Potentially we need to trial and test this over a course of a few months to see if the return on investment really works. So essentially, the analogy I'd use is that the question, does Google Ads work, is a little bit like dieting, saying, does dieting work? Well, yes, if you do it right.
Yeah.
If you do it right. And no, if you do it wrong. And yes, there's a lot of bad information, dieting information out there in the world. And yes, there's a lot of bad Google Ads information out there as well. Ultimately, you want to get some professional advice to make this work. And there's been plenty of times we've gone to clients and said, I don't think you should do Google Ads. There's other things you could do, be it social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or SEO or email. Like there's other things you can do to grow your business. Don't spend your money on Google Ads.
Yeah, I suppose that traffic light system that you were talking about, where that keyword research at the beginning comes into it, that gives you a really clear data-driven answer as to whether or not you should be doing it.
Yeah, you get some clear data to help make your decision.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, we'll move on to the third most Googled question about Google Ads. So, are Google Ads effective?
Yes. I'd like to leave the answer at that, but I won't.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot to unpack here.
Are they effective? It kind of does tie in a little with the previous question.
Yeah.
And as James was saying, you need to get some professional advice. So with this one, is it effective? Yes, if you do it right. Okay. And Google has a lot of options these days to try and make it easier for businesses, but it also simplifies it in a way that you don't have as much control. And I don't believe that then you're getting the same results. So they're going to be really effective if you're able to really manage them well. So yeah, and what you need to look at also is, what do you consider effective? So
that's a really great point.
It's going to depend on what your goal is. So your goal may just be to get brand awareness. And if that's the case, your aim is to get as many clicks, as many views as possible. So you're going to focus on that. But if your goal is for leads, well, then you need to start looking at the cost. So how much are you getting back when you get a lead or a conversion? How much are you making? And you need to look at like the whole, not just this short little one. So you may have a service that is continual. Obviously, it may cost you, say, $100 to get that initial lead, but if that lead leads to, continual monthly services, it's actually worth a lot more. So you need to look at that lifetime value, and that's kind of how we need to decide, is this actually effective?
So knowing a few simple numbers in your business prior to doing Google Ads or starting Google Ads would be very helpful, wouldn't it?
Definitely need to know those numbers.
Yeah. And what sort of like costs are you seeing generally around clicks and things like that, just as a general?
Well, I might answer that one, Heidi, because a lot of people will focus on the cost of a click, and the cost might be $1, it might be $5, it might be $20, it might be $50. And if you say, oh my goodness, $20, all someone's done is tapped on their phone screen, it's cost me $20, it can seem quite daunting. And I think that's the wrong question, because the real question is, how much does a lead cost? So it might take 10 clicks for you to get a lead. And if that lead is bringing you in sales, and the sales is more than the cost of the lead, then you're making a profit. So we see leads costing anywhere from sort of $20 to $150. And it depends on the industry. It depends on the competition. And for different businesses, they might say $20, well, we can't do that. We're not making money on that. But others will be spending $150 going, we're getting such a great return on investment on this, all based on their own sale value and the profit that's in their own business. So it's a really case by case in that regard. But I would say the OnlineCo, we focus on small and medium business. And I would recommend that you probably need to start spending at about $1,000 a month in order to make enough splash. And I guess the analogy would be, if you throw a little pebble into the ocean, it really doesn't make any difference. You've got to throw a big enough rock into the Google Ocean to make enough of a splash to generate you some leads.
No, thanks for unpacking that, James, because I think, one thing that I often see in conversations that I'm having with people is the questions around cost. And you might say, oh, as you said, $20 a lead, I can't, or $20 a click, I can't pay for that. But digging a little bit deeper is really important there. All right, so I'll move on to the next most Googled question.
Number 4. Does Google Ads improve SEO? Should we say this one at once, Heidi? 1, 2, 3. No. Absolutely not. Never has, never will. I don't know where this idea comes from.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I think if, from the outside, if you're not someone who specializes in digital marketing, there, a lot of people think of Google as Google Ads and SEO all as the same thing. So I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this, Heidi and James, and where did this idea come from, and perhaps why might people have it? Well,
Google tell us that they have a demarcation between the departments, between the SEO or the web spam department and the Google Ads department. And they feel it's very important ethically that the best organic results rank at the top for organic, and that the paid are paid. And you can see the clear little, it says ad next to the ad. So you can see that, and they look different. Admittedly, they've over the years made them look a bit more the same as the organic results. But I went to a digital marketing conference in Seattle, and at lunch I just sat down next to these two guys, and it turns out I was talking to the head of SEO, or the head of web spam at Bing. He was on one side, and the head of Bing Ads was on the other side. And they were explaining to me that they actually work out of completely different buildings. They're on the same campus, so to speak, but they're actually in different buildings. Now, I haven't sat and talked to those guys at Google. It was kind of random that I sat next to the Bing guys.
Yeah, what luck is that?
Yeah. But honestly, we've done this for over a decade and never seen a correlation. So a lot of clients will do SEO and Google Ads. And so if we started running Google Ads, you'd expect there to be a bump in their SEO results. Never had not even close. It's like, does listening to music make you a good singer? It's like, it's not the same.
I can tell you from experience, it does not.
So honestly, you need to do them both separately. They both have a place in your marketing mix.
The intent is different for both of them, right? The user's intent.
Yeah, some people will say, oh, I never click on ads. Actually, a lot of people say that. But we consistently see sort of 5 to 10% of people do. It's kind of just...
They must be clicking on ads because Heidi's seeing conversions.
Yeah. Again, we've seen that for a decade. But we actually have some on-demand workshops on our website, and you can go and do a Google Ads one, and you can do an SEO one, and really, get into some of the details for about an hour of what the difference is and how to get started on both of those.
Yeah, that'll really clearly identify and show you the differences between the two. All right, so moving on to question 5. Is Google Ads for free?
Sometimes.
That's
sometimes.
I did not think that was the answer.
In most cases, no, it's not. It's paid advertising. But Google does have a program for not-for-profits
Okay.
called Google Ads Grants, where you can apply. There's a little bit of an application process, and you can apply and get up to $10,000 a month of advertising on Google Ads. There is like the terms and conditions, I guess, apply there though, and there's certain procedures and things that you have to follow, and certain results that you have to get. So you need to remain above a 5% click-through rate, for example. There's quality score limitations, and if you start to drop below what they want or what they expect, you can actually lose that grant. So obviously, that's a bit tricky.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a fair bit that goes into managing that.
And the other thing with those accounts, also the ad grant, is that Google will show a paid ad before it's going to show the ad grant ad. Obviously, that paid one, they're going to make money from that. The ad grant, they're not. So what they actually suggest is to run both the paid and the ad grant side by side. So the paid is going to bring you in a lot of, good results. And the ad grant maybe can focus on those keywords, like longer term keywords, that are less competitive, so that you're still getting as many views and clicks as possible, but you've still got that paid to get in there for those really competitive terms.
Yeah, okay, that's some really good insight, because I think there's probably a lot of those sort of like not-for-profits out there that think, may or may not know that this is an option for them, but knowing that there's a bunch of criteria that you need to meet makes it a little bit difficult when you're trying to manage it on your own.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good system. I think it's a good thing that Google have done to help not-for-profits. But yeah, there's just a compliance layer that they're not giving away ads for free with no restrictions. We've got a series of blogs on our website that go through how to set these up. And there's just a couple of really small mistakes you can make that'll make your Google Ad Grant get declined. For instance, people will always go and set it up in Australian dollars, and it has to be in US dollars, just as an example. So then all of a sudden it's declined. So then you've got to go and set it up again in US dollars. So a bunch of
like nuanced sort of things that the average person might not know.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
Okay. So most of the time you've got to pay, unfortunately.
No, mostly.
Well, not unfortunately, because if it's driving you great results, let's keep paying. I'm happy to pay.
That's right. If it's making you sales and making you money, you might as well keep doing it.
That's right. All right, we'll move on to question 6. So, should I use Google Ads?
Well, in order to answer this one, it's almost a combination of the previous. So we've answered, does it work for small business? Well, yes and no.
And no,
and so if you're in the no, don't use it. If you're in the yes, then go ahead. Is it effective? Well, we've got a lot of clients that have been doing it for a long time. We know it's effective. And how much does it cost? Well, we sort of said starting at $1,000 in your media spend is a good place for a small or medium business. So ultimately, you got to work yourself through those factors and then make a decision for yourself and your business. And I guess when we talk small and medium, a small business is from one person through to 19 staff. And if you're a solopreneur, and particularly if you've just gotten started, you might be best to come and do our on-demand workshop and just get skilled up yourself. It's free. And if you're just starting out, it's possible you have more time than money. So invest some time. And in fact, one of the sad things we hear is that people have just had bad experiences.
We hear that so often.
Yeah, with their digital marketing agencies. And one thing that can prevent that is for you to get sort of off the ground with basic understanding of what it does. And by doing our workshop, you're going to give yourself that. And then by potentially setting up a campaign and having a crack yourself, what it means is that when you do hire someone, you're going to have an understanding of what they're doing. You're going to be able to talk to them and conceptualize what it is they're saying. Of course, if your business is a little bit bigger, and often it's around the 5 mark, but it doesn't have to be 5 staff, then your business might be at the point where you're needing to get more sales to feed those staff and to grow. And then it often makes sense to get us involved. So I guess the best step would just be to go to our website, TheOnlineCo.net, click on book a chat, and we can just have a 5-minute chat to see if you're suitable, and then take next steps from there around what the strategy should be, budgets, the traffic light system, whether we should be doing this or not. And we're going to give you an honest opinion. One of our values is around partnership, and because we've had clients for like over a decade, we don't want to take on clients where the campaign's not going to work. So we're going to tell you. It's just not in our DNA. It's not in our interest to kind of have a failed campaign. We want campaigns that will work. And if Google Ads isn't the right thing, then potentially there's other things that are.
So that brings us to our last question. Our last most Googled question around Google Ads. So number 7. So can I do Google Ads myself? What are your thoughts, Heidi? James, I'm sure you've got a great analogy for this, actually.
James, I'll
You're
let
the
you
king of
start.
analogies.
All right. So it's a bit of a thing in lockdown at the minute. And hopefully you're listening to this after lockdown. But in lockdown, there's lots of people posting on social media about haircuts because no one can get haircuts.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And so the analogy is, can I do Google Ads myself? Well, can I give myself a haircut, or can I give my family a haircut? Maybe.
That is a great analogy.
Maybe, but are you going to get the result you want? Is it going to work well for you? What's the outcome of that homemade haircut going to be?
I had to give my husband a homemade haircut a few weeks ago, and I can confirm it was not a good haircut.
Okay.
I had my husband cut my hair in our last lockdown, and it was a lot shorter than we had planned. So again, need the professionals.
Yeah. So again, we've got these on-demand workshops where we're going to give you an hour's download of our workflow. It's actually how Heidi does it. So we're just giving away our
Heidi's exact process.
Yeah. So you can just come along and get a sense. At the end of that, you're going to go, I reckon I can give this a try, or there's no way I can do this, and then you can contact us. It just, I guess, it depends on your tech level, the ability of time you're willing to give to it, whether you're even interested, and the size of your business and your budget. Obviously, if you do it yourself, you don't have to pay any management, but it's possible you do it yourself. You save on management, but don't get any sales. So it's kind of a false economy there.
Yeah.
So that's our 7 questions, Jess.
I'm just looking through my list of questions. We're done.
We're done.
The top 7 most Googled questions about Google Ads.
So there we go. I really hope that's been helpful. If you want to find out more, you can go to TheOnlineCo.net. You can also have a chat to us in our Facebook group, Getting to the Heart of Business. And we're going to continue rolling these out. So we will have some more interesting chats about digital marketing technology coming up soon. Thank you so much for joining us today, Heidi.
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to Heidi.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
I love when you share your insights on Google Ads. As I said in the intro, your knowledge just amazes me on Google Ads. Someone who's worked in it for over 10 years, it's awesome. Love having you on the team.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jess, for interviewing us.
Likewise, James. Thank you for being a guest.
Yeah, guest on our own podcast. There you go.
Yeah.
Now, this episode of Getting to the Heart of Business was brought to you by The Online Co. The music was by Harry Parnwell, and you can find us at TheOnlineCo.net. Feel free to share this if you know someone who you go, that'd be helpful to them. Click subscribe, and we'd love you to leave a review.